I'd like to thank everyone that came out tonight. If you can't hear me, raise your hand. My name is Percy Maru. My wife is right here. Just wave your hand. And we've been here over 2 years. It'll be 3 years in July. And we've been co-op members now only almost 3 years here, but it'll be in July. But there was about 40. It's either 44 or 45 years where we came from. So anyway, with that said, I want to, who's going to do the invocation of prayer? Okay.
If everybody would bow with me, please, move over, stand even better. Father God, thank you for allowing us to be here today. Father, thank you for your many blessings and most importantly for your mercy and your grace. Father, thank you for allowing us to live in a country where we can all come together. We can discuss our issues. We can learn from each other, and in the end, Father, we are all part of your family. Father, thank you for our men and women serving all over this world to protect us. Father, we are unworthy of all of their service. But Father, thank you. Thank you so much. Father, bless this night. Keep everybody safe on the way home. In your Son's name, amen.
Amen. Amen.
If you would join me in a flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'm going to read some things here. So Larry Harvey is in District 1 here in Beggs area. Larry has served on an EC board for 17 years, representing the Beggs, Mound, Slick, Twin Hills, and Okmulgee areas. He served for the U.S. Army Reserve for 6 years, and he retired after 34 years of teaching VOAG and FFA at Beggs High School. Larry and his family has been co-members on the same land for multiple generations. A comment about you being the ag teacher. When I coached years ago, everybody knew what I did. Everybody knew what everybody else did. But the ag teacher had it made. He would leave, they didn't know where he was going. No one knew anything about his business. That was the way I saw it. And so congratulations for that. I appreciate that. Jim Hall, who I've done a little bit of business. I'm sorry.
Jim Hall?
Yes.
That's me.
That's you? Okay, I'm sorry. I thought it was the guy in the blue. I'm sorry.
No.
Go right ahead. I know your wife. Stephanie?
Different Jim. That's my dad.
That's your dad?
Yes, sir.
Okay, never mind. Okay, I'll shut up. Go ahead. Jim has served on the EC board for 10 years, representing Okfuskett County and parts of the Okmulgee County. Jim and his family have been co-op members for multiple generations. His occupation is as a Farm Bureau insurance agent. Mike Vernon has served on the EC board for 10 years, representing the greater Muskogee area. Grew up on co-op lines, moved away during his service for the U.S. Army, and has been a member of the Cooperative at his own home for 18 years. His occupation is the Safety and Health Director. Dwayne Elam Dwayne has served as the CEO of East Central Electric Cooperative for 1 year. Prior to that, he served the city of Wagner for 18 years as the utilities manager and city manager. While there, he served for 7 years on the board of Municipal Electric Systems of Oklahoma, which serves 64 cities across the state of Oklahoma, including service as the board president. He grew up on the co-op lines, is the third generation in his family to be members of East Central Electric Cooperative. Vice President in Finance Accounting, Teresa Sparks. There she is. I lost my place. Has been employed at East Central for 19 years with 30 years of total experience in cooperative accounting and has been a member of the co-op for 12 years. Vice President of Operations and Engineering, Jerome Roberts, right there. Has been employed at East Central Electric for 22 years, working as a lineman, an engineer, and before moving into a management position, Jerome grew up on co-op lines, moved away during his service with the Air Force, has been a member of the cooperative at his own home for 24 years. Vice President of Member Services, Tamara Hawkins, has been employed at East Central Cooperative for 32 years in the multiple member services role. She has been a member herself for 19 years. Also, Vice President of Member and Public Relations, Catherine Russell, has been employed at East Central Electric for 12 years in multiple member relation roles and 8 years of prior experience in hospitality administrative services. Vice President of Broadband Operations, Jerome Hendrickson, Jeremy Hendrickson, I'm sorry, has been employed at East Central Electric Cooperative for almost 7 years and has 15 years of prior experience in the telecommunications industry. Vice President of Corporate Services, Gary Creekmore, over here to my left, has been employed at East Central Electric Cooperative for 8 years and has over 30 years of experience working for manufacturing and warehouse companies and performing union negotiations. Okay, right now I'm going to read the 10 questions that has been entered on my page that you, our co-op customers have sent in. There's 10 of them here. Number one here, why have rates increased recently? Can we implement caps, or number two is, can we implement caps or levelized rolling cost adjustments? Why is building a reliable electric grid so expensive? I've been asked that question before. Can I, as a member, invite my own auditor and view contractor bids? Number 5, how does fiber play a role in the cooperative finances? 6, is my kilowatt hour usage being read accurately? That's the question. Can the meters be trusted? 7, my habits haven't changed. Why has my bill? 8, why tools are available to monitor usage? 9, how can I lower my usage? 10, if costs keep rising, what's the breaking point? And at this time, I'm going to turn this over to Larry Harvey, your co-op trustee for this District 1, and go ahead.
Okay. First, I'd like to just welcome everybody here. I'm from Beggs, born and raised here, went to school here, after I got out of college, came back and started teaching here. And all of this stuff that you see on these buildings has been here since, I know that the first building that was on here was Ag and FFA, that I've taught 34 years. I've got former students and that's here tonight that are members, but we appreciate you as the members being here. And then we also appreciate the employees. We have several employees. And our mission statement for a co-op is serving our communities and members. And that's what we're trying to do. And tonight, we're going to kind of just explain the co-op, how it works, and our vision is to provide safe, reliable, and affordable electricity to the members. And, you know, the board, we're all members, just like you are, and we make decisions based on facts and figures, and we do the best job that we can to keep them affordable and safe and reliable. And Max, would you introduce? Max, I'm going to introduce you. Stand up here. Max is the oldest member on the board. He's been on the board for how many years? How many years? 23 years. And he represents the board area. He's been in the board all his life. But we're having seven of these informative meetings, one in each kind of the board members' community. So we're representing mine, and then we have 3 more, I think, after this one. So, but again, just like to welcome everybody, this is going to be an informative meeting. And if you have a question, feel free to ask it. That's the reason we're having these meetings, and these people have spent quite a bit of time preparing for the meeting. And on the questions, so we're going to like draw around to talk, ask questions, or
Save the questions to the end.
at the end?
Yes.
Okay, we'll just have questions at the end. Excuse me, had a phone call. All right, well, I'm just gonna turn it over to Dwayne.
Can everybody hear me? Yep. Okay, good. Well, thank you. I want to echo Larry's comments as well. Thank you for being here tonight. I don't really need that. I got a mic on my lapel, so I'm more comfortable doing that. We're going to go through some things. I do want to acknowledge and kind of repeat a little bit what Larry just said. Thank all of you for being here tonight. We want this to be informative. We want to answer questions. We also want to educate you on what the electric industry is doing and what's going to be happening in the future as well from that standpoint. But I do want to thank all the employees that are here as well. A lot of the employees are members as well, and it all comes into the same aspect of making sure everybody understands what we do. I am going to do something a little bit different though. We do have some of our employees in North Mississippi right now. If everybody is willing, please keep them in your thoughts and prayers. They're down there trying to restore electricity to other co-op members that went through an ice storm here a couple of weeks ago. So they're doing what co-ops do and being cooperative and uncooperative. So I appreciate all the employees do and stepping up to the plate and helping another state and those residents in that aspect of things. If you look at the sheet, from that standpoint, we're going to do a slide through here. We're going to go all the way through this from basically all the power. So where the power is generated, electricity all the way to your home when you flip a light switch and electricity comes on. So we're going to go through a program here that's hopefully is helpful and informative. If you do not have one of these, please raise your hand. We want to make sure you get one of these in your hand. It's there to take home for you tonight. So if you don't have one, please, this is for you as members. So you can get one of them. Okay? So going through the power generation aspect, and I'm going to step off the side here just a little bit to talk through this. As you'll notice up here on the slide is a pie chart, and this is the mix of the generation. We do not produce electricity like Super Electric. Our GNTs, which is generator and transmission organizations, are the ones that produce the power. That is individuals and entities such as Western Farmers, KMO Power, and Associated Electric Co-ops. that generate our power and transmit our electricity to essential electric distribution, which in turn distributes it to your home and my home and everybody else that's a member on these central lines. So, if you look up here, I'm just going to hit a couple of these deals. We also, if you'll notice through the slides, there's a QR code up here. You can take your phone out, take a picture of that, it'll take you to a website, it'll give you information about the flights as well as other information about the industry as a whole. That's the reason we want to make sure everybody has these and they can take them home with them from that standpoint. Going forward, but if you'll notice, there's a diverse resource capacity today. One of the reasons is you see a lot, you hear a lot about wind and solar today, and I'm not going to get into the little aspects of the positive and the negative parts of it, but there's been a changing of the environment depending upon what the political atmosphere is at the federal level in Washington, D.C. 15, 20 years ago, everything was basically coal power from that standpoint. Coal generated electricity, and going forward, it was the most reliable, most cost-efficient generation there was for energy. Fast forward to current day and the previous administration, the Biden administration, if you recall, they wanted to go all green. So they ended up starting shutting coal plants down, retiring coal plants. Wind and solar became a big issue in the state of Oklahoma with tax credits and all of that nature, to the point that you see we have a diverse portfolio of generation that is provided to electricity today. This is not just sitting at East Central or Associated or Western from that standpoint. All your utility providers are in the same conversation, whether it's PSO, OG&E, a municipal utility, or a co-op utility. This is the generation resources today that provide electricity that's transported to your house. And what I want to make a point of is there's tough decisions that are being made right now. 4 years ago, maybe 6 years ago now, when Biden administration, President Biden was in administration, he wanted everything solar, everything wind, and wanted to reduce the coal plants, retire, do away with fossil fuels. Fast forward to today, President Trump, he's polar opposite of that aspect. He wants to keep the coal plants going as long as he can. He don't want to have as much of a green utility aspect out there with solar and wind, but I'm here to tell you today, it's taking every one of those resources to provide the energy and the demand that is coming about and will be into the future. So that's the reason you see there's 30-year decisions being based on a 4-year political administrative environment. Also, you'll see the power cost adjustment. East Central does not have anything to do with that power cost adjustment. That power cost adjustment, which is a PCA that you may see on your bill, that is what it costs for fuel and all that nature to make up that generation resource. As you'll know, coal 53%, gas 24%, wind 16%, etc. That is the cost of those generating entities such as Associated Electric, Western Farmers, because it has to do for them to produce the electricity to provide it down the transmission line to East Central Electric to your home and my home as well. And you can see with the fluctuating graph on there, if you'll notice the trend is starting to trend up from that standpoint. Next slide, please. Transmission, talking about a little bit of transmission. It's not just how much we use, it's when we use it as well. So, you know, there's a lot of metrics that goes into this play today. If you get home and there's a little bit of slides further down the line that goes into how many people have a cell phone today? How many people have a smartphone today? Smart refrigerator, oven, smart oven, got a clock. If you'll stop and think and go home and just start looking at all your devices that actually has a computer chip in it, that is all providing and pulling energy through your house today that may not have been pulling energy through your house 10, 15 years ago. I know at our house with our kids and cell phones today, there may be 5 different phone chargers plugged in at any one time. Do you know if my phone is not even hooked to that charger, it is still pulling electricity through that and causing usage, just by being plugged in. So you see the smart devices up there that I'm talking about, always display on and standby mode, that's what I'm referring to, is those smart devices, such as the refrigerators, smart TVs, and all that we are in modern society of convenience and what we are accustomed to doing. You also have the manufacturing growth that's going on, and there is a lot of growth going on across the United States in very different aspects in the energy world. Next slide, if you will. Transmission, coming through here, this goes back to the demand aspect and the amount of usage that is needed to make sure the electricity is provided at your house at any given time when you want it. I mean, if you're like me, and I know you are, you go in your house, you go into the room, you flip a light, switch on, you expect the lights to come on. That's what we're used to today, and that's what we want. As an example, up there in Bowdoin, if you'll notice, AECI, Associated Electric Co-ops, winter peak is growing on average 150 megawatts per year. That is equivalent to 300 Walmart supercenters. Now, if you've ever just been in a Walmart supercenter and think of how big that square footage is, how big that landmark is and all that, imagine 300 of those from that point. That's the amount of electricity that is continuing to grow in the winter side of it. We used to be a summer peaking utility from that standpoint with summer air conditioning and everything else going on. It has switched now to the winter peak aspect because you don't have the cogeneration like you used to have. So you have more of a winter heat issue that is taking place. And you'll see that trend chart up there. And if you've got this in front of you, you can realize where it shows Winter Storm Uri that everybody experienced in 2021. And then you'll also see the other winter storm, Elliott, that experienced as well. We just went through a winter storm Fern. Luckily, we did not get impacted by it, but the southern states down there in Tennessee, North Louisiana, North Mississippi, they got impacted pretty bad by it. Some residents and individuals down there are going on 3 weeks without power. They've lost almost 80 to 90% of their infrastructure down there due to ice storms. Substations, we get into a little bit of this. I want to turn this over to Vice President of Engineering Operations, Jerome Roberts. He'll talk a little bit about this. Again, if you'll notice, we have the QR code up here. Please utilize that. That's for your benefit. We want to take the opportunity not only to answer your questions tonight, but also to inform you and educate you about your co-op and what's happening and will be happening in the future. We're going to answer questions at the end. We encourage questions at the end. And I will say this, even though we're going across every district and territory and 7 different forums we're having, this will not stop after that. I'm going to continue this in every district throughout the years and stuff, maybe once a quarter, that we're going to advertise that, hey, come have coffee with your local co-op, come ask questions, sit down and talk to us. We are here for you guys. We're in the same boat you are, and a lot of us are members facing the same challenges, and we're trying to do the best that we can do with things that's out of our control, to be honest with you, to some extent. So, Jerome?
Thank you. The question is, why is building a reliable grid so expensive? I've said before, I don't know that it was ever not expensive to build power plants. We have 25 substations in our territory. 4 of those substations belong to Western Farmers, the rest belong to Campbell. You can see in that graph the growth that we've had in the past 10 years in meters. We are in constant communication. What I say, we communicate with mainly CAMO because that's where our growth is. We communicate with CAMO once a month. Myself and the engineer communicate with them, and we're passing along information about where our growth is. That we're seeing a subdivision coming in. You will tell them we have a subdivision coming in. It's got 200 houses coming, and how long it's going, when they're going to start, and so on. If we've got a big commercial load coming in, we let them know that. What we're doing is trying to plan out if we need do have to upgrade or add another substation, their East Central does have to pay a direct cost for that upgrade or new substation. I was talking to Camo the other day, a substation transformer back in 2019 cost him $600,000 for that one transformer. Now it costs them $2 million for that same transformer, and they can't get it for 5 years. Next slide, please. Same question. This is some of the stuff that we deal with there at co-op. You see some of the price increases that we've seen over the past 5 years. The transformers almost doubled in price. Fleet, that's one of them things. I don't know if I've ever walked onto a car lot and said, well, that's cheap. Vehicles are expensive and they keep going up. Big trucks, there's very few places that we can actually get big trucks, but the smaller vehicles like half-ton trucks and maybe the SUVs, we do send out requests for quotes, and we send them out to at least 15 different dealerships trying to find the best value for what we're paying for. But it's critical that we have a reliable fleet. When the storms hit or we need to build something, we would rather be working on power runs than vehicles. Next slide, please. Right away. Like Wayne was talking about, we've had crews working out in Mississippi. We've got one guy here who just came back for a week now. They can probably tell you about all the trees laying around out there and all the damage that the trees cause. When those trees get ice on them, they can do a lot of damage. Anything that falls on them. So we have a pretty good sized budget for cutting right away. We try, our cycle is 5 to 6 years to go through the entire system and cut, trim, and spray right away in that 5 years. You can see there to the far right how much we spent last year, just a little bit over $4.1 million in right away. In those 5 to 6 years, and I can tell you that in some areas, that's not enough. So, cutting right away it impacts our reliability directly. In 2025, you can see there that our reliability rate was 99.92%. So, it's pretty good. Smart grid. Question is, how does fiber play a role in the cooperative's finances? I'm just going to tell you a little bit before I turn it over to Jeremy about what we're doing with the fiber and the smart grid. We have been, over the past few years, have been connecting equipment out in the field, such as what we call reclosers, or you might think of them as breakers, and some regulators, equipment out in the field. And what that does for us, we can see from the office real-time data that's out there, such as what the voltage is out there, what amperage is out there, and we use that to balance load on the system. We can also operate that equipment, so instead of maybe sending a lineman out there to operate a piece of equipment, we can do that now from in the office. So where before, we would send a lineman out with a meter or something to a location and tell them, hey, give us the voltage reading or the amperage reading with his equipment. We can now see that from the office. So it saves in truck rolls. Another thing that we're working toward is standing up what we call a self-healing system. And this video, it's a pretty simple video that kind of explains how a smart grid or the self-healing system works. It's what we call
envision a sun.
What it will do is it has a FLISR system, which stands for fault location, isolation, and service restoration system. What it will do is when a feeder goes off, these devices will communicate, isolate a fault, and backfeed those lines and isolate the fault until the lineman can come out and actually repair the problem and return everything to normal. So you can go ahead and play the video.
Can greatly reduce power outages for our customers. CPS Energy can make this possible through Smart Grid Initiative. Smart sensors placed along our power lines and in our substations can detect trouble and communicate real-time information to automatically diagnose problems on the line and reroute the power supply. So how will the self-healing system work? Let's take a look. Here's a community made up of residential, business, and what we call critical need customers. You'll notice the homes, school, shopping center, and hospital all receive their power from Power Source A. You can also see Power Source B, which serves the southeast section of town. Now, notice Switch 1, Switch 2, and Switch 3. These intelligent switches can automatically detect trouble on the lines and then start, stop, or reroute the power flow in order to isolate the problem. Let's see what happens when a vehicle accident occurs. An automobile is traveling east. The car hits a slick spot on the road and strikes the utility pole, damaging the pole and the power line. Today, without smart grid technology, Power Source A shuts down, and the entire community, including homes, the shopping center, school, and hospital, will lose power. The power will remain out until a customer notified CPS Energy and crews are sent to make repairs. However, with smart sensors and control technologies, Switch 1, Switch 2, and Switch 3 immediately detect the problem. As the car hits the pole, Switch 1 senses an abnormal power flow from the damaged power line. Switch 1 then communicates with switches 2 and 3, and Switch 1 and 2 open up to stop the flow of electricity and isolate the section of line between them. Power Source A is now providing electricity to the shopping center. Switch 3, which is normally open from Power Source A, closes in order to provide electricity from Power Source B. Power Source B is now rerouted to provide power to the remaining community. Power continues to flow to most area homes, the school, and the hospital. Only the customers served between switches 1 and 2 have lost power. While this animation has been slowed down to show you a series of events, this self-healing process would actually occur in just a few seconds. In fact, customers may notice only a brief blinking of the lights as the smart grid automatically isolates the outage and keeps power flowing to the greatest number of customers. The smart grid also automatically notifies the CPS Energy's Energy Management Center, which can quickly send a repair crew to the area. The crew makes the repairs, and then the Energy Management Center remotely restores the power flow to its original state. A smart grid that can monitor itself and change the way CPS Energy does business, from improved reliability to faster restoration.
So the cooperative has built this fiber network, and it's got multiple benefits. We've talked about the smart grid benefit and how that helps us operationally, so that we can fix things from the office and not have to roll trucks, and that benefits, faster restoration times for our membership. It also has the benefit of, we talked about, you heard earlier, that our mission is serving our members and communities, and we heard the word from our members, please bring internet. Nobody else is doing it, please bring internet. And that is a benefit of the fiber that we have built. Today we built 4,700 miles of fiber. 850 of that is dedicated to this smart grid capabilities, and as we continue to add more downline devices, that number goes up. East Central owns the fiber that is on the system, on all the poles, and EchoLink owns the equipment inside the fiber huts and the equipment inside the homes. And then EchoLink pays a lease to East Central for the use of the fiber from the hut to the home. And to date, that lease has paid $53 million to the Cooperative. And it's given us tons of benefits for our members and for reliability.
Okay, so one of the questions that were asked is, is regular values being accurately read, and can the meters be trusted? So there's a little bit about the meters. They are a clear solid state meter, solid state. Basically means there's no gears, wheels or anything inside of them like the old-fashioned meters. And they use sensors inside of them to pull the readings and count the kilowatt-hours that you're using. The metering system itself, the meter itself is ANSI, what they call ANSI tested. That's American National Standards Institute. And that specification, they come to us pre-tested, plus or minus 5%, or 0.5%. Once they're in the field, we do follow the Oklahoma Corporation Commission rules and regulations on their standards, and the way is they test within plus minus 2%. And the type of system we have, there's several systems out there. We use what's called PLC, it's a power line carrier system. It has a high reliability as far as what we call the hard reads, and because it comes across the power line itself, all the way to the substation, and then it uses fiber and coming into the office. So what does that mean? What does that hard read mean? So basically, our system asks your reader every night, what does it read? That's a hard reading. Every night it's asking you for one reading for 37,000 meters. It's kind of like the old landline phone. There's a more direct path. There's less stuff coming across the communication system. Whereas the other readings that we're getting, those are what we call the interval or hourly readings. The meter itself is actually sending those to us throughout the day, all day long, 37,000 meters, 24 readings each one. So there's more noise and stuff on the line, and there could be things that interfere with whether or not we get that reading. That said, these meters store those readings. They store the midnight reading for 30 days, and they store the hourly readings for 3 weeks. So when we're getting these readings coming into us, we try to use those for the members to display for informational purposes. The only reading we use to bill you is the midnight hard reading. So it's more like the landline phone versus a cell phone. Or the other way to look at it is you're in a busy restaurant trying to have a conversation with someone. It doesn't mean you're not having a conversation, you just maybe not hear it because of all the other noise that's going on. What noise can affect readings? Those are things that can affect the power line, which is harmonics, they say EV chargers, affected electromagnetic interference, oil wells, things like that. We've had oil wells, we've had to have them go out and wrap something around their motors because of harmonics. So there are things that can affect those readings coming across the power line. We have to date this year tested 226 of our meters, and none of them have come back bad. Now, when we said we tested 226 of our meters, some of those are because the member has called and said, I want you to come out and test the meter, and we will do that with the member on location. But most of them, anytime we're doing a meter change or change out, doing a read and read out, and we bring those meters into the office, and they are tested before they're redeployed. So we do test all those meters. So what are we doing with the usage, or the readings that we're getting on the meter? So basically, like I said, that midnight reading, that's the one we're using to bill you. But the interval readings give us a little bit of information that we can turn and show to you. you can actually go out and see what your usage is. And if you click on that usage, it'll open up a chart, and this chart will tell you what your hourly usage is. Okay, so sometimes people ask, what's this little star? What does that little star mean? So if we are missing, let's say we got your reading at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock, for some reason we didn't get that reading, our system will do what's called a VEE, a validate, estimate, and edit. That means it's looking at your history, what's normal for the home, that kind of stuff, and it's going to fill in that gap. We put a star out there to let you guys know that we were missing. We do not hide that. And so it's displaying here for you guys to see. Every day when we're bringing those readings in from the day before, we're also bringing in the previous 3 days. Because remember, your reader stores that data. So sometimes you can be looking at this and the next day it changes. It's because we've got a good reading and filled that in with a good reading. So that's why you'll see that. If you'll notice on this app, there's a little eye with a circle on it. If you hit that, it will actually flip the screen and show you guys more detail of what we're seeing in the chart. So you can look at a summary, and it'll tell you the high, low, and average usage. It'll tell you the high, low, and average temperature that day. And then if you want to see the detail, it'll actually show you as much detail as it has. The other thing it says is these could be estimates, and we do not use these to bill you. They're just for informational purposes. We do our best to get the best, the actual readings. But if there's something that interferes with that, we let you know that. So some of the other tools that we have to help members with controlling their power, their costs and stuff, is we have some billing options that a lot of people don't know about. We have 4 different due dates to choose from. And so some people, like they're on a fixed income or something, and they only get their income at a certain time of the month. We encourage people to change the cycle, to change the due date. Like I said, we have 4 to choose from, and we do that for a lot of our members. We also have average monthly billing. Surprisingly, we don't have that many members take advantage of average billing, but we do have it available. And then we have prepaid billing. We have a lot of members that love the prepaid. They can see their bill every single day. Because instead of being billed once a month for the previous 30 days, they're billed every day for what they used the day before. And so we have a lot of members that really love that. The average prepaid member reduces their power by 5% because they're paying more attention to it. Okay, so member tools. The other piece that's in the Smart Hub app is called, it's called Vision. It's a software piece that's inside the system that's using your readings and some algorithms to try and help you determine what in your house is using something. And there's a home energy profile within this, and members fill that home energy profile out and kind of let the system know more about the home. This is a wonderful tool because it turns around and it looks at how much of your monthly usage was the heating source, how much was always on, which is those things you just plugged in. So it's a really good tool to kind of give you an idea. Is it exact? No. If you want exact, you're going to have to put something on your system like a sense meter or something like that. But this does give you a really good idea of what your home is using, the kind of home is using something. So one of the other things that we talk about is usage. Like Dwayne said, cost of power is not going down. We're doing everything we can on our end, but kilowatt hours matter when it comes to your bill. So what this chart so kilowatt hours do matter. And so the number one, I would say one of the number one questions we get, and it's very common because it's very hard to understand, is I've done nothing different in my home. I've not touched my thermostat. Why is my usage higher? So one of the things I want to talk about is what's called a degree differential. So basically, you see two little houses here. In the wintertime, when you keep your house at 70 degrees, winter and summer, you don't touch the thermostat. In the wintertime, especially like here a few weeks ago, it was 2 degrees, several weeks. Let's say it's 20 degrees. You keep your house at 70. You're asking your house to stay 50 degrees warmer than it is outside. So some of the tools that Catherine's going to be talking about as far as energy efficiency and stuff definitely matter, because the envelope of your home helps your home keep some of that heat. But regardless, you're still asking your house to stay 50 degrees warmer than it is outside. Well, let's flip around to the summertime. You haven't touched it, it's still 70 degrees. But it's 90 outside. You're asking your home to cool 20 degrees lower than what it is outside. So, degree differential is a massive aspect as far as usage to your home. And there's a couple of QR codes here that take you to some of the places that talk about degree differential. But some of the other things that we want to talk about is some of the programs we have to help our members determine what their home is using power. So I'll turn that over to Catherine.
So one of the biggest things that we deal with is how is our homes using power? And just like Dwayne alluded to earlier, just connecting your phone, charging your phone, the smart ovens, stoves, refrigerators, all that is pulling all this energy. And we call it the energy vampires all across the electric utility world. And that's what it does, it just pulls all this energy and power while it's sitting there idle. Although it doesn't look like it's using energy or it's not being in use, it's still pulling power. That's things that we have to be aware of as well. Also, whenever we look at our homes, just like we look at our vehicles we have to take them in to get maintained, oil changed every so often. Our homes are the same way. Every often we have to get them maintained, we have to check the equipment that's in the home to make sure that they're running right or efficient. And equipment that you have in your house, like the refrigerators, deep freezers, those motors slowly go out. And when they do, they start pulling a lot more power, and start using a lot more, that contributes to a lot of the usage as well. One of the biggest things that we see a lot more now, especially with everybody going to more full all-electric HVAC systems, emergency heat strips. I've got them, and they do the same thing. They kick on, and they stay on, and a lot of times you don't know when they're on. So checking those every so often and making sure that your emergency heats are not running and pulling extra power along with your heater when you're running it. Next slide. One of the biggest programs that we do have that we offer our members is our energy audits. And this program is really great because we can go out on site. We have a third-party consultant that comes out and they look at the home. They do a blower door test where they push air through the home, and it shows areas where air is coming through or it's leaking. And at the end, they'll show you a full report. This is some of the examples we've seen as far as like insulation in your home, just even like the missing outlet covers or any cracks. Mobile homes are one big thing as far as the skirting. Skirting deteriorates over time, and when that does, it contributes to a lot of that air being released. Ductwork is a big thing that we see, especially when you get rodents that start chewing on it, or if the ductwork starts to fall on the ground or starts to come apart. That starts to play a factor on heating either the outside down or even trying to work harder to try to heat that home. Also, what we do offer is rebates. So when you do these energy efficiency programs, or if you decide that you want to upgrade to something more energy efficient, we do offer rebates to help with some of those costs, to help offset that. So if you're going through your home and you want to put in a dual fuel air source heat pump, for example, we do have rebates for those. So one of the questions we get going back to, can we implement caps or levelized cost adjustments? Yes, but also our members can help us play a part in that as well, with how you use the things in your home. For example, demand is a big piece that plays into the power costs that we get next year. And what we promote is leveling it out. So demand, like the first chart, is turning everything on at the same time. What it does is it works really hard, all the equipment is working and pulling as much as it can, and it's working against each other to get that power on now, or get it running now. So that's just like if you were in your vehicle and you slam on that gas, and you're trying to go as fast as you can down the highway. That's what it's doing. It's trying to work as hard as it can to pull a lot of power, a lot of energy to meet that demand which you're wanting to run. If you levelize it out, then it steadies that demand out where it's not trying to hit that top notch as quickly as possible. It's your usage is just being leveled out where it's not pulling so much energy all in one time. Like I mentioned, it does play a big part in the power cost, and I'll let Dwayne talk more about how that affects the power cost and how that demand is factored in that.
Make sure this is on. To the extent of Catherine's talking about as well, with the demand from that regard, our demand is set by our power providers in a 12-month rolling conversation. So what I mean by that, our demand set for this year for 2026 was actually set on the year 2025. So last year, let's say February the 13th was the coldest month of the entire year. It's when the most usage was used in the winter side of that aspect and standpoint. That was when the most amount of energy needed to be used and brought to your house and to everybody else. That goes to the point, the example of don't tower your power. Everybody hits at the same time, and when everybody hits at the same time, it sets a peak. And that peak is what we are billed on the following year from our electric providers. So right now, going into 2026 calendar year in our budget, we're actually paying for a demand that was set last year on that February 14th, 15th date that I was talking about. 2 weeks ago, when Taylor was alluding to the 2-degree weather in the morning, right now as it stands, that is our peak for 2026. Now, if we get another cold snap next month and it gets down below that, it can raise that peak to a new peak. But right now, we have set our peak for 2026 2 weeks ago with that cold snap. It used to be in summer when everybody set their peak with the energy aspects. As I alluded to earlier, everything's shifting from a summer peak to a winter peak because of the generation resources, the amount of fuel it takes, and the aspect that we don't have as many coal plants in play today as what we did 10, 15, 20 years ago. Financial stewardship that comes into the aspects with how everything's playing into, and that's part of that demand I'm talking about. I'm going to turn it to Teresa. She's going to go into a little bit of discussion beyond that of what we have to pay our power providers, such as associated with KMO, on that demand.
You as a member, the question is, can I as a member invite my auditor and review contractor bids? We work to keep our financials very stable and everything, and the We have auditors that come in once a year. Matter of fact, they'll be in a couple of weeks. And they audit our books. We have a 3-year bid contract. We send out bids for auditors to send in to audit our books. If you know of someone that would like to audit our books, have them drop us a business card and we will send them out a bid packet. We will be sending out big packets come July or August of this year. And the second question is the contract bidding. We go out for bid at 3 years for our overhead contractors, our underground contractors, and they choose who the contractor will be. Do we reveal the bids for these contractors show us? No, we do not. That is private. That would give information that other people shouldn't see that you could a bid in. So we do not share those bids with anybody. We don't share our auditor's bids. We keep that. But as RUS requires us to do this, that's our lender, our biggest lender, and we have to follow our guidelines. Same way you would have to follow your guidelines with your banker. You mortgage cattle, get a lien on your cattle. They're going to come out and count the cows and see if you've got the cows and everything. Same way with us. We have to answer to our auditors and to our lenders. If you see the QR code there, that is our audit reports from our auditors. They're letters showing what our audit was for the last 2 years. And you're welcome to see that. And looking at our financials, the CCA, everybody's wondering it's a consumer cost adjustment, but it's also you could call it a debt margin stabilizer. 2025, we did not have bad weather. Everything was kind of smooth, not like what Oklahoma's used to. And our margins rocked along, and we didn't have great margins, which is revenue minus expenses. And we kept rocking along, and in November we had some big expenses that come at the end of the year, and we just did not have the margins to cover those. So we, the CCA kicked in, and that's why it was so high in November. We are working to stop that so it doesn't happen and it's levelized out as an average. And I will, some of the things that we are doing to look at our costs and everything, this year we will be having a cost of service study, which is a third party will come in and evaluate our books and look at them and see what our rates should be, and do we need to adjust them or take care of them. As we know, as Dwayne has stated, electric is going to go up, power is going to go up. We can't stop it, but we can control our expenses and work at it that way. And I'll turn it back over to Dwayne.
If you got this, there's a couple of other pages behind this. They're relevant. The 2026 cost of service and long-range financial forecast. This is directed from Associated Electric in regards to the future of electric bills and energy going up. There's also one from Western Farmers in here. We've attached that as well for you guys to be able to see. The Western Farmers is rolled to the last 2 weeks ago with the natural gas fuel prices and what took place, as an example from the CEO of Western Farmers and what our generation partners endured and had to deal with as well moving forward. As Teresa alluded to, we're going to be doing a cost of service in 2026 moving forward. In 2025, we took a 4% rate increase in central diff from Associated and Halo Power. We also took a rate increase from Western Farmers. In 2026, we have another 4% increase coming down the pipeline as well. Western Farmers, and I don't remember the number right off the top of my head, appreciate you might, but they increased Unfortunately, this is something that's happening across the entire United States. It's nothing that's unique to East Central. We're doing everything we can, tightening our budgets, cutting costs, cutting expenses, everywhere we can from that aspect, and to the point that we're even delaying some fleet purchases and stuff of that nature, trying to get a little more longevity out of our equipment and other components that we do day-to-day business at East Central moving forward. But some of the things like is alluded to up here, what can we control? We can control the planning aspect. That's what we're doing right now. That's what I'm talking about. That's what we're moving forward with. Transparency. That's why we're here tonight. We're here to answer questions. We're trying to help you understand and educate what we're all in the middle of as well. But one thing we are bound and determined to not do is sacrifice reliability. We do not want to sacrifice reliability. We want to make sure we have the most cost-effective, reliable, safe electric provided to your house at any given time, any given month, throughout the entire year. So at this point in time, I'm going to open it up like we talked about on the back end for some Q&A from anybody in the audience. We've got board members here as well. If any of you guys would like to make a comment or not, but at this time, I just want to open it up and try to make sure we inform and we can answer your questions.
Hello. Hello. My name is Annette and I live in Winchester. I have 7 acres. I have 2 poles on it. My electric bill went up $100. That's before I even get charged for electric. That's just for the pole fees and your cost adjustment. Now, I'm sorry, but I can't afford this. My cost of electric's going up too. Your pole fees are ridiculous. I know in here it says that you,
Gary, can you have
that you had low revenue before all this.
Yeah, well, we can hear you better.
Okay,
Yeah.
you had low revenue before all this, you said. Why was your revenue, why was it so low? And were all these cost adjustments, was that done so that you could improve your revenue? Was that done on our backs?
Are we going to address every one of those at a time?
Huh? I do have other questions. Yes, I do.
The revenue, we didn't have a cold winter last year. We also did not, Mother Nature did not cooperate because we did not have a hot summer like we normally do. Also, we brought rum with bare margins to what we used to, and we lost grow houses. And all of a sudden, all that hit as a perfect storm at the end of the year.
So, part of this is due to grow houses, right? We all know it's part of it's due to data centers and everybody trying to up the grid. You say you don't have data centers, and that's fine. But a lot of this cost from these producers and everybody else is being because of data centers. And that's another thing. These generators, these electric generators, are they under the Corporation Commission? Are you under the Corporation Commission? Can we go to anyone and complain about these rate hikes that keep coming down the pipe that no one does anything about?
No, ma'am, we are not under the Corporation Commission. Our membership voted us out of that several years ago.
Then who do we complain to about these ever increasing rate hikes? If you don't generate power, and they do,
Go back to the
then who do we
CCA
complain
slide.
to?
You complain to the Attorney General.
Hey, thank you. We want to answer those questions just as quickly and as calmly as possible. Go back to the CCA slide. Can't hear me?
No, you need to use your microphone.
Oh, you can hear me loudly? Okay, so I think this is a telling story. We didn't cover it very well, talking about the CCA. The PCA is a direct pass-through from the power company. And we just we just sit up here and try to explain why the cost of power is going up. And if you think about what happened in the last 5 years, there was a war on coal. And historically, the war on coal has driven the price for electricity up. Now, that has changed a little bit. Coal has been the United States' main supplier of safe, reliable power for generations. And when you eliminate that source, you have less electricity on the grid. Everybody understand that? Less electricity on the grid with the same demand or increased demand causes the prices to go up. We are passing through 73% of the cost to our members. I'm a member. I pay the same 73% or whatever it is from the power company. The rest of it, we make up through the consumer cost adjustment. And I've defended this a bunch because I'm passionate about it. We did not charge a CCA in 2020. We did not charge a CCA for 2 years. We had $2 million given back to us, so we credited the CCA. It was a negative number. We credited it back to our members. Then we held the CCA tight. Weather did not cooperate. Revenue was lost in this time period right where the red dot is at. Grow houses started to go away. Still have some grow houses out there. But that is a significant amount of electricity that we're having to make up revenue for. Now, people say that, and I've heard this question before, well, why did you do all that for the grow houses? We didn't do boo for the grow houses. The grow houses provided us a bunch of money, and we were required to provide them power. They paid for all of their stuff up front. And I've also got a question about the data centers, and I know this part pretty well because I work for a generation company. This is just what I do for torture, I guess. The cost of electricity is going to continue to go up. Electrical demand is still really high. East Central does not have any data centers. We're not affected by any data centers at this point. That's not going to say that we're not going to be affected by data centers. We have no control over what our company sells us our electricity for. We can impart our wisdom on it. We have Jim Hall that sits on the board at Western Farmers. He is your advocate to go there and say, look, our members can't tolerate this. Dwight, if he's here, Dwight's not here. Dwight sits on the KMO. He is your East Central representative on KMO's board to fight for the membership there. The cost of power is going to continue to go up until we get level supply of electricity. And that's not just for East Central members. That's across the United States. It's a terrible problem to be in, but there is some light at the end of the tunnel. There has been some energy put behind reestablishing the safest, most reliable, cost-effective power out there, and that is coal. There's been some more energy around that, and I know for one, we're considering running our coal plant that is going to be shuttered for another 5 or 6 years just to meet the demand out there on the market. But I think it's really unfair to say that we're trying to make it all up at one time. We're not. We're just not.
Who's over the power generators?
The power generators, they are cooperatives as well.
Who regulates them?
I don't know the answer to that.
They're regulated by the member owners as well, which is all of us in that aspect. I mean, that's the whole concept of a co-op. center in Muskogee East that was providing electricity. We are not providing electricity to any data center. First and foremost, our power lines will provide electricity to provide the amount of energy and electricity they need to power those. They're dropped right below OG&E and PSO power lines. Those are the entities that are providing power to those entities.
And I will tell you, OG&E they're regulated by the Corporation Commission, and they actually have a responsibility to their shareholders. They're delivering a profit for that organization to pay their shareholders. We're not delivering a profit for anybody, any of our members. We're trying to keep the lights on at the lowest possible cost.
Well, it's pretty hard to believe no one's making a profit off all this. It really is.
I'm out.
And I also have a question on those fiber optic loans. So how come we're being stuck now, paying for all that? When you didn't have to put those in, you could have waited until the grant's paid. You didn't have to stick that on your back for those loans.
I thank you for that question. It's a really good question. And I know we've addressed it a couple of different times in all the meetings. And it's pretty exciting to have fiber for our members.
I work on fiber, but I could have waited.
It's pretty exciting to have fiber for all of our members. And we had demand. You are one person of 36,000 members out there. And we had demand across this organization to build fiber. So
Sure, until they knew it was going to jack up their electric bill.
we applied for the grants, and we were awarded grants. And those grants come in not all at one time. If you see us get a grant for $22 million, that's paid out over 10 years.
We had no idea it was going to jack up our electric.
I-
No one did.
I don't know how to answer your question. You're yelling at me.
No one did.
I will tell you, my electric has not been impacted significantly by my cost of having fiber.
Really?
100%.
We're paying off that loan.
Well, we own the subsidiary.
You're being paid by them. You said you're being paid by them, but we're still paying off the loan.
We're being paid by who?
By EchoLink. You're being, weren't you telling us you're making millions off of them?
No, we are being paid by EchoLink back to East Central, and East Central owns EchoLink, and we are responsible for the finances of it.
It doesn't, does it?
So my question I have is toward the energy efficient appliances in our home. You can't tell me that it's coming from there because, first of all, in 2014, I moved to Mounds from Collinsville, Oklahoma. In Collinsville, Oklahoma, my electric was never this high. Never. When I moved in 2014, I moved into a very low income home. I had a lot of problems, but I had energy efficient appliances. I now have a brand new home. I have the most highest insulation you can put in that sucker, and I have the most highest energy efficient utilities or appliances you can get. I went through all of my paperwork from my 2014 appliances to my new Samsung appliances. My energy is so much cheaper on these newer appliances, and they're saying that they use a lot more electricity. I can't believe that, because I'm not home enough for them to use it. I'm not home enough. It's a light. It is a light on a clock. That's all it is. There's no way that it uses that much electricity. Even my paperwork says there's no way. That's one question.
Here, Billy, let me address that. So before you go to your next question. So yeah, I can understand why you see that. I'm there with you. I've got appliances the same way, and it's hard to kind of understand what all they use. What we can do is we can work with you, because I don't live in the home, we don't live in the home. I don't know how it's being used, or if you're not there, I don't know that habit, but what we can do, if you're good with that, we can get with you. We have a monitor device we can put on your home and look at it and see how much it's using. And if you want us to come out and test the meter and check on that, we can do that as well. But we would like to come out and visit with you and go over everything if you would like for us to do that
this doesn't make sense. I have a brand new home. I have, we purchased this home with extra insulation. We purchased this home with the gas-filled windows. We don't have anything escaping. It's completely tight shut. There's no reason why my bill has tripled since I moved in 5 months ago. My bill was $120, and now it's almost $375. There's no reason for it. And I used less. I turned my heat off when it got cold, and we used our fireplace. And I still had my bill higher. So that doesn't make sense. My next question is, if you guys are trying to save money and trying to help lower the cost for everybody else, what are you guys doing within the offices? Are you freezing salaries? Are you cutting jobs to help with everybody else? Why can't you combine fees? How many of you have a barn and a home? A barn and a home on 2 separate poles. How many have 2 separate poles? Okay? When you pay that bill, I pay my bill, one for my business and one for my home. I still have to pay that extra fee each time I use a car. Why can't you combine that? Why can't you figure out some way to combine that? Second of all, if I have EcoLink and 2 different electric bills, why can't you give us discounts for having 2 separate electric bills and EcoLink? I know that PSO does different things like that. Why can't that be done? There's no reason for it. There's no reason why it can't be done. When you get insurance, you get a bundle. You don't get charged for each bill you pay. So there's got to be a way that your billing system can fix it to where we pay one fee. I don't mind paying a fee. I know using those cards are expensive, but I shouldn't have to pay a fee. I shouldn't have to pay a fee twice. Or if these individuals have to pay it half and half, they shouldn't have to pay a bill, that fee twice. You should have it one time a month. That's something that would help everybody out. Again, add discounts if you have more.
I think those are great ideas, and I think the cost of service study that we're going to do this year, the cost of service study is going to cost us money to get it done to help understand what's the best way to bill and relay discounts to those types of things. I pay the same fee twice. I have a barn and a house. I understand what you're talking about there. But I would never advocate. We showed a slide up here a while ago that our growth has gone from 32,000 to 37,000, and we only have 5.8 members per mile of line. We are growing at a pretty good rate. I would never advocate to cut people in East Central Electric. I think we should be responsible about how we take care of our team members. These are the greatest team members that I've ever been able to work with, and I don't get to work with them every day, but I know how hard they work for the members. It is difficult. This is going to get more difficult. The power supply is going to get tighter, but the cost of service study is going to help us going forward.
What I'm talking about though is salaries. Here, go ahead.
I got a question for you,
Yeah,
sir.
I was fixing to jump in, so go ahead and ask your question.
How much has been your average increase over the last year? You were talking about 4% from one source and 4% from another source. Collectively, what is the increase over the last year?
From that perspective and the generation, I probably have to keep that for Teresa because I'm just in here.
The only reason I'm asking is because, you know, if you
But it's a valid question.
2 or 3 places that you get a 4% increase, we're talking a 12-15% increase in power, or cost for power.
Right.
But like, our place, we use less electricity than we did in January last year by quite a bit. But our cost went from, our electric bill last year for the amount of electricity we used was around $150. Now, between the barn and the house, we use less electricity and it's almost $600 for repair.
Yeah.
That's way more than a 12 or 15% increase
Sure.
in cost. You know, you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It was less better because we made sure we got a home that was more energy efficient. And it's not completely electric. I mean, we have a wood fireplace in it, and we also have gas for our propane for our stoves and stuff like that. So I'm not understanding how.
Let me try to address some of your wife's questions as well, because you're absolutely right. Appliances and stuff of that nature get more energy efficient because of all the things that's going on. So, as Catherine alluded, we would love to be able to come and put a monitor on your meter to do that.
I leave at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I don't get home. I get home about 5, and then I'm in the barn working till midnight.
Yeah.
So I'm only actually in the house maybe 6 hours a day at the most.
Sure. And we can work with you. We'll do
And
that.
the whole time I'm not there, the light until she gets
And
home.
it will monitor all that, it will show all that usage. It will show all that usage, but I'm going to come back to, specific questions asked, what are we doing to cut our costs to? Well, we've had some job openings that was there that hadn't been placed. We've cut those out. We're not going to fill those jobs. We're reducing all of those that's been pulled out of the budget. So if somebody left that was previously employed in a specific position, that position is not being rehired. In other words, there's a hiring freeze in that aspect, if that makes sense to you. So we're cutting all of those costs out. We're cutting our budget down to what the bare minimum of what we've got to do to ensure that we provide reliable electricity to you from that standpoint. We are doing everything we can from an internal aspect to control these costs that is being pushed on and transferred on to you and me as well, and Mike and every other member from that standpoint.
I had some conversation with Mike, and I put one of those meters on one of the little fobs on my house, and it identified the areas that I needed to work on. That it was my responsibility. It was a personal responsibility, and I needed to fix that. I'm not saying anything is wrong at your home or you're at your barn, but it is worth the shot if your increase is done at that. If your power bill has gone up that much, it is worth the shot to have people come in. I've lobbied for that over here with the Ashbrook's as well. I think it's worth a shot. If you've got these power increases.
So is that going to be on both meters then? Because we have two.
Yes.
Yeah,
We'll put it on both.
They only did one line, but they can put it on two.
It's like my barn, I've been training out of there for 8 years now. It's always, its maximum would be around $100. But it's always usually $75, $80 a month. And that's with me riding at night, lights for
Sure.
and everything. But this month, when we got a bill,
Double.
it was double. I mean, from 75 to 140 something dollars.
So this monitor, what it does is it goes in your breaker box, and as soon as something is turned on, so if you turn your dryer on, you'll see it automatically. It's on an app. And as soon as you turn your dryer on, it'll show you exactly how much it's pulling to even get to where it needs to go and then where it levels off. We did have a member, because these are devices that we're sending out because we're working on a program for this, and we had a member that was interested in doing this. This monitor, she put it on, her bill was the same thing. It started out pretty low, and in the wintertime it was high. She ran around $900 worth of a bill. This monitor picked up that the HVAC system was too large for her home. It was pulling too much power. So she went in there, got that fixed. This monitor lowered her uses tremendously, even to the point where it picked up where her water meter was about to go out. It started to, when your water meter is about to go out, that usage starts to decline. And she noticed that, and it said water meters, you can label them. You put them on those circuits, specific circuits. And it showed the water meter. So she immediately called it in, got it fixed, and it saved her floor damage, and it saved her on usage as well. But we can do that stuff.
What I'm saying,
I don't have a problem with what it's reading. It's actually reading less usage than this time last year.
It just costs more.
Yeah.
And the cost is way
not like I was asking you about if, you know, if you had a 12% increase over a year. I understand you have to pass some of that stuff on. But we're not talking about 12% increase. We're looking at 100%
Yeah,
increase. That's a huge dip.
And absolutely, I understand your concern. That's the reason we want to come and see what this monitor is showing.
I think
So we
it's
can see it
worth,
as well.
I think it's worth getting a device or having, check your kilowatt hours.
And this is a
Get
meter.
this device.
This is a brand new meter y'all put in July or August.
Yeah.
The question is, another thing that has also come in across about these meters is, we have been told that some of these meters were defective. Told us to look at the meters and make sure these numbers, model numbers, are defective.
I passed along all the calibration records that I had from the cooperative I got from Teresa. Tamara. I got from Tamara all the money I was trying to say when we met up there at cooperative. And I asked the same questions. Why are they saying these meters are wrong? And of the 226 I noticed on the slide a while ago, of the 226 that we tested, 0 failed. I'm not aware of any meters that have had fail rates or identified.
You said you've been told, I don't know the context of that, as far as meters being effective.
Well, it was a portion of a number of meters that we were told that they had some defective meters, we would come out and replace them.
Well, I mean, in the years that I've been at the co-op, as we've changed these meters out, so the first time we went through the big meter change back in, dating myself here, back in 2002, 2004, 2006, we were changing out the old analog meters. And that's when we really saw people's bills change. We tested the old meter that come out of their home, and it was the old meter that was running slow. Back then, they had the wheel in them, they had the mechanics in them, the dirt and stuff would get in them. These newer meters are solid state. I'm not going to stand here and tell you a meter will never go bad. We just can't do that. That'd be like saying your cell phone will never not have a tower. Even though the cell company says it's always going to have a tower. It's technology. That's why we offer the meter tests and all of that kind of stuff. We're required to audit a third of our meters every year. So every time one of the linemen is on location, repair a line or whatever they're doing, they physically read it and we compare it to the module reading. So we lose our members. If you feel like what we're getting at that midnight reading doesn't seem right, go read it.
I read mine for a week, and it didn't match up.
Okay, then we need to look at that.
I read mine for a week, I took a picture of it.
Did you call
It
us?
didn't match up.
Did you call us and let us know?
No, because I kind of feel like it doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't. It actually doesn't. To your point, we want to get out there and take a look at it. These things are a solid state as far as the county, but if they go off a little bit, it's just like a computer or anything else.
Well,
Our system, the modern technology is great when it works. You can't guarantee it will work all the time.
well, I know you were up there talking about the difference in, this is a totally different question, but you were talking about the difference in, it goes only 20 degrees. It's 20 degrees outside, and 70, put it on 70. However, we have insulation that keeps that out. So it shouldn't make our bill go, if you've got an insulated home and it stays 70 all the time, my heater's not coming on. That day it got really cold, my heater didn't come on because we used our wood stove, or wood fireplace.
And that's why, to Catherine's point, we want to come out and take a look at it. We had someone a few years ago, brand new home, paid for all of the insulation, all the great stuff to do it. We come out and did an energy audit, and there was no insulation. We wrote it back on the contractor. So we're not saying that there's something not wrong, but until we can put our eyes on it and work with you, we can't determine. So if that meter is not reading what you're seeing, we need to look at that. We want to come out and to Catherine May's point, we want to help our members. If it is on us, we correct it.
The last question I do have, and we can pass it on, is you're stating that this was the warmest winter we've had. And you said it was not very cold. The coldest day in 2025 was 17 degrees. We have not been that cold yet. That was in January of 2025.
It was 17 degrees in January 2025.
Mm-hmm.
It was 2 degrees in January this year.
I get it, but it was still, our temperature was colder last year than we had a mild winter. We've had a very mild winter.
Yeah, and that's what we're saying, it's been mild. It was mild.
So if we actually so mild, why are we paying more than we did last year?
Well, so one of the things we talk about, and you got to mention this, that your usage is lower, but your bill's a little higher.
Well,
now, being double, like, we need to look at. But
here's what's funny when you talk about that usage being lower. When you use a 50 amp plug-in to a travel trailer, that uses a lot of electricity, don't it?
You can, yes.
I lived in a horse trailer last year. I lived in my living quarters. I lived in my living quarters for 2 years to purchase a new home because I sold my land in Mounds. I lived in that trailer almost 2 years, and my bill was still extremely low, and I was hooked to a 50 amp for 2 years.
And I can't speak to are we comparing apples to apples, or are we comparing oranges to
Well, now I'm living in a home, and it's, I mean, we're using way less electricity, but our bill is
Yeah, when I'm trying to analyze it and fully answer the question, I have to see that. I have to see the kilowatt hours before the kilowatt hours now. But are we hearing from members that are using a little less than they did a year ago and the bill's higher? Yes, because the cost of power is going up. And so that is why we want to do everything we can to help our members lower their kilowatt hours. Because cost of power is going up.
okay with the cost of power going up. I understand you say you've got things in place, but it may not affect me. But this lady here, it might affect those who don't have jobs later on in life. It might affect at this rate of increase. If I configured my increase each month, by next January, I'm going to be paying $1,000 a month in electric with this increase. What are y'all going to do to those individuals who cannot do that? I mean, they're on a fixed income.
As a not-for-profit, you're talking about, if you have 2 pools. One of the things that we recommend, our engineering department recommends a lot. If you can wire your barn into your house, we can.
It's too hard.
Yeah, but if you can't,
And I can't because one's business and one's,
right.
I have to pay separately.
I just want to speak to, because you mentioned, PSO. I have someone who works for me that has 2 meters with them. The one they don't live in, minimum bill with them is $38. So we're not the only utility that's having to take a look at the static cost to have the pole sitting there with all the equipment on it for a meter. So there's a lot of things we're recommending for our members to try to do. It's not always feasible. So what can we do to help you? We can't help you unless you give us a call or let us come out. We do want to help you.
I'm yet to believe it.
Another question? Because I got another, just a comment, maybe help. One of our own members, his electric, he kept complaining that his electric bill was double, it was just going crazy. Well, we sent the team out in energy survey or energy document out there and found out that his heater was going in, his air conditioner was going in at the same time. It was wired incorrectly. There is options. Let us come out and look at that and try to identify the actual problem. And you made a comment that is near my heart and near the board's heart. And I know it's near the team members' hearts that are here. The person that we're concerned about most is the mature person at the end of the line that is on a fixed income. We're not harvesting millions of dollars here. We're trying to keep this organization afloat. It's been going this way for 85 years. the cost of power across the United States is going up. We do have some representatives that go from East Central to Camo. We get 90% of our power from Camo, 10% from Western Farmers. So we have representatives that go on those boards and fight for our members, and they're fighting the same fight that we're fighting every day at East Central, which is trying to keep the rates down. I believe, are you significant, are you tied to what you're talking about is in November 2025, or is it continuing to go up right now, your rate?
It's continuing to go up.
Okay, so you definitely need to get some help on that.
Yeah, we need to build it come.
I would say my first bill when I moved into that home, and we moved in October, my first bill, full bill, was $120. And here I am in January at $360. And I'm literally stopping, turning every light off, everything. I mean, it's to the point that I sat there and thought, we don't even have our heater on, and I'm using I don't have a blower on that fireplace, it's just a fireplace. Did it heat the living room? Absolutely. But I thought, what about these elderly? They cannot do that. How are they going to do this? I sat and prayed, and I thought, what in the world are they going to do?
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
That is
And I'm looking
absolutely.
at people who make $300,000 a year, and we got a woman who makes $30,000 a year, and she can't pay a bill. Who's going to help her? Are you going to pull it out of your account? Are you going to pull it out of yours? Are you going to pull it out of yours? I mean, these people, what are they going to do? We can't go like this forever.
Agreed.
We can't. And we want to know, we want you to step up and say no.
Ma'am, I'm doing that right now through the budget process. And why we've got a cost of service coming in play to see where this thing needs to be at and line out so we can take care of all this. I don't want anybody paying any more than what their fair share is. I don't want anybody else subsidizing somebody else. But I'm doing everything from an internal perspective as a CEO to minimize and cut costs so it's not passed on to our members.
Let me ask you this. When you have the little elderly woman that says, hey, I had to turn my heat off. I had to turn my heat off because I can't afford it. I have to turn my heat off because I can't afford my electricity. I can't turn my light on. I can't turn my TV on to watch TV because then I can afford to pay for my medical bills or my medicine that I need to live on. Are you personally going to go visit her and say, I am so sorry, man. Let me see what I can do?
I will do everything I can do. What I gotta do and what we have to do, as Mike's alluded to, the power that we're getting for us and the bill that we're having to pay, if we want to continue to provide electricity to my house, your house, and everybody else's house in here, we've got to pay our bills to those generator providers.
And I get that. So who do we go to get this cost in? Who do we, as members,
go to?
to?
The PCA costs that we're talking about right now?
Yeah, where can we go to a meeting to get that cost down?
And that's the aspect of KMO, Western Farmers and Associated. And let me give you an example right here. If you'll notice in this graph, you see this thing starting to go up, but it's got peaks and valleys. I'm working right now on a plan that will smooth this out so you don't see all this stuff. So it is a moderate aspect. I'm trying to minimize every aspect if I can to that bill. From an internal perspective and an external perspective. I can't control what KMO does, Western Farmers does, because I don't have the ability to control those entities in those generation units.
Okay, so what can we do though to control that? What do we do?
We have to be as energy efficient as we can. We have to let our representatives come out to our members' house. Let us monitor the meters. Let us do an energy efficient audit and see what we can see if there is something out of whack that we can help our members with.
I hope they find it, because I want to highlight to the world. Everybody, if you have a problem, you should call in and say, I want something fixed. Come here now. This is not right. There's no downside to that. There's no downside to having an energy survey come out.
And it's free charge. It is absolutely free.
She knows I've had one.
Yeah.
She knew exactly where I lived before, but I can promise you, it was a dump. Matter of fact, one of your pictures up there is part of my house, my old house.
Okay. Have we been to your new house?
No.
Okay, let us come to your new house. Let's see if we can see what's going on here. We want to help. I promise you, we want to help.
Okay, I've got several questions as well. The first one, where do we find the auditor's letter? Because the QR code is not.
The auditor, where is, can you speak up just a little?
Is that better?
Yes, yes.
So the QR code for the auditor's letter, that is not, that brings up the smart grid. So where do you find this? Do what?
Copy of the auditor's letter.
Yes, where do you find it? That is not, that goes to that smart grid.
It's on our website. We can get that over to you. If that's not working, we'll get that corrected. Okay, guys.
And then another one, like, we don't have any current financial reports. Used to you could find one, I think the last one you could find online is like 2018, 2019.
You're talking the 990, 499, the tax return?
Yes, you used to be able to see all those, now you can't.
In 2019, there was a vote, and it changed tax status, that we went from 990, Form 990, which is a public record, to Form 1120, which is no longer a public record.
Okay, so how do we see that as numbers, right? Because we are wrong, right? So how do we see those?
There's paperwork that you can fill out and come in and look at them.
Make it hard.
Yes. And the rebates, I've looked at those because I had also gone with trying to get energy efficient appliances. You know, I've got a water heater that you can program, a heater or whatever, you know, all that stuff that you can. But when you go on there and you do, and you look at those rebates, every single one of them, I won't fill one out because right there it says that you guys get, we have to allow you guys to either now or in the future control that appliance. Well, I don't want you guys to say, hey, you're keeping your house too cold or too hot, and we're gonna, you know, mess with your thermostat. But if I fill that out, I'm giving you guys the option to do that.
No. As of right now, we do not have a program set up for that.
You don't?
We're not requiring that, and before any of that ever happens, all that stuff are opt-in programs. So if we ever launch a program like that, we have to opt in. You, as members, have to opt in to that program. So we would have to communicate to you that, hey, we're doing this new service, and we'd like for you to opt in. And just like PSR or OGE, they have programs where you opt in, and then you get a discount or whatever if you're part of the program. As of right now, we don't do that. If we have plans on doing that in the future, we will have an opt-in option. We will go through that process. That rebate form, is through our GNCs or power suppliers, because the rebates are coming through them. And that is just a sentence that's on their rebate, just for those that are offering that program, for those that are wanting to do that.
But if you sign it, you are giving permission, that's what it says. So, I mean, that is still going to be a contract. If you sign that rebate and you take that money, it still says that at some now or in the future, it doesn't say that it doesn't give you the option there. There's no check mark next to it.
If that's what's holding you up from the rebate, we can remove that. Because as of right now, we don't have that service, we don't have that type of program. Like I said, if we ever do that, we will have an opt-in option. But if that is what's holding you up from doing the rebate, if we want you to do the rebate, we want help on the cost. And if that's what's holding you up, I can call them up and have them remove it for our application so you can fill it out without feeling like you're obligated to anything.
So the other thing you guys are talking about, so we have roughly 37,000 members per active meters, is that right, 37,000?
No. Oh, sorry about that.
Okay, you're saying.
I thought it was a microphone, 37,000 meters.
Meters, not members, okay. So
Meters, not members. Like me, I've got, I know 6 meters.
Okay, so in these, it says like you've done 226 this year. 226 have been tested, 0 have been faulty. How many do you test each year? And I mean, like you said, you know, technology, just like your car's made, that you're talking about refrigerators or anything like that, compressors go out, even though they're solid state, they're supposed to be, they've got sensors. How many people have oxygen sensors or whatever, airbag sensors and all that sort of stuff that go out in the car? So that's not unreasonable to think with 37,000 meters that we don't have that go out on these.
I'm not the tech guy on that. I do know that those meters, Jerome, here. Those meters, they they report to the office. So if they're not reporting, but I'm not gonna speak out of turn here. Go, Joe.
Yeah, I don't have the exact number of how many we test every year. I did talk to our meter department several weeks ago, and it is very rare that they do find one that is actually tested wrong. Now, we do have some that will not communicate out in the field, and that has to do with the module, but the actual reading that it's getting is normally correct. But those meters will be changed out so that they can communicate, but I don't have an actual number. They're being tested as they come in. If we get a disconnect, that somebody wants us to come pull their meter, they're done with the service, we'll go get that meter and it's tested and put back.
So how can you say like just how accurate they are? Like if you're actually drawing the power they say you are? Because I mean, I can go out there and go look, but you said before you have a dial. I know the water meter, you can see if it's, I have well water, so I don't have a water meter, but you can see, you know, if you're using that little dial, the numbers will be going fast or whatever. You don't have that, so you can't really see how you're using that unless you look up a monitor, and that's the only way.
Exactly. We have a tester that we can come out in the field and test in the field. We also have a tester in our meter department. And a lot of these meters are already tested from the manufacturer when we get them.
Okay.
I passed along some, I hope you can hear me. I passed along some information to I asked the same question about meters. I wanted to know, what's the process? Are they calibrated before they go out? Give me the answers. And they provided me a bunch of calibration data for the meters that we had sent out. And I asked the question, have any meters failed? And the answer that I got was, they don't recall any meter failing in Tamara's tenure.
As far
We
as
had a meter failure.
we had no meters just sitting. In my tenure, I've never seen one go fast. If they're going to fail, they usually slow down, and it's the older meters. We'll never stand here and say the meters are flawless, which is why we recommend let us come out and test it. When we do a test, and I'm not real familiar with the whole process, but they put what's called a light load on it, which would just be lights and stuff. They put a standard load on it, and they put a full load on it. And full load means they're rocking on it. And what that does is give them a reading of how it's responding to the different loads. And that's what gives the test results. And our testing equipment is calibrated also with standards from outside of our organization. So we just don't come up with the standards ourselves as far as the testing equipment. Do they stop? Yes. Do we lose communications with them? Yes. Sometimes the module inside of it, which is the phone call, just stop sending us the reading. We can physically go out there and read the front of it. And it's kind of like the odometer on the car. Your mobile app will tell you what it is, but if it's not working, you can still go look at the odometer itself.
But if this is, I mean, I understand what you're saying about it saving, but if it's not working right, then how is it saving that? That's what I don't understand. I mean, you know, if something stops working, it stops working, so how are you?
Yeah, that's the communication piece. That's the module inside of it. That's the communication piece. The front of the meter.
But if it's reading as well, or that has stopped using that module, how do you know if that reading is correct or not?
We don't know until we physically come out to it. We physically walk up to it. Now, I'm not a meter expert, so I can't really speak to the meters themselves. I just know in my 32 years of testing meters, especially back when I first started in this industry, and the older meters that had the dials and the modules, the gears and stuff in them, we found those all the time, and they're usually slow.
I think those are great questions, and I think it's important that if you have questions about your meters, if I had questions about my meters, I would call and say, come and check my meter. And I would stand beside the person that's checking the meter and I would ask those questions.
It's just, you know, with technology, we look at even our cell phones and everything that we have. there is going to be a degree, it's technology, it's electricity, it's all these parts and everything that go to it. There has to be a degree of effectiveness, there has to be a degree of where things go wrong. So to say that, there's no failures, granted, nobody wants a failure, but it would be nice to have those numbers to see, so, at least to have some transparency and some faith in knowing that we're getting, but to say like, none of them fail, it just seems like if that's the case, then we need that technology in our cell phones and everything else. So then we'll have less failures.
Well, I don't know that any of them have failed. Has a meter failed? I think we gotta address this. Have we had a meter fail in 32 years? Is there a meter technician in the building? Gee, anybody here test meters?
I've talked to the meter department, of course, the meter department's under, our department. And the guy has been back there over 20 years. And he said he has seen some fail, but it's very rare that they do. Some of them may get hit by lightning and fail. And at that point, I guess he'll go with billing to correct the billing side. But what we was talking about is the not being able to read from the office. That's not the actual meter. That's just a communication piece in that meter. We still will pull that meter, take it back and put it on the tester and get the actual readings on it.
I'm glad you brought up the word transparency too, because I forgot something totally a while ago. I think it's important that everybody understand. We stand before you to answer questions. I have never known an OG or a TSO or anybody, any other organization that's willing to stand before you and answer questions and offer so many solutions. We're going to be there for you to support you through the meter issue or the high kilowatt hour or the low kilowatt hour high bill. Let us come out. There is something going on in your system.
But it's not just one or two, there's a lot of people. If you're on the watchdog, I know Jim is on the watchdog group, you're on there too. There's more than just one person or a handful of people that are having problems with it. And, we can't, my mortgage and then electric. My vehicle's paid off, so it's mortgage and then electric. And my electric is getting close to being my mortgage payment. So I'm a single mother. I'm doing everything I can. My daughter's 14 now. When she was 2, I couldn't afford my electric, and I actually had to have it got shut off, so I had to live with my parents for a month until I could get a bonus check so I could pay to get my electric back on. There's not, and at that point in time, I don't know what your payment plans are now, but it was I can pay half of it now and half of it in the next bill. Well, I can't afford a payment in half. If I couldn't afford a full payment, how am I going to afford a payment and a half? And that was the only help that I got.
Yeah.
So, it's the same thing now. If someone's got a $600 or $900 bill and they can't pay it now, what makes you think that they're going to be able to pay that $600 plus $300 the next month? You see what I'm getting? There's no...
I think we got to get to the root cause of why is the bill high. And if the bill is high, make the call, have somebody come out and verify all of this stuff. If your bill is high and you only pay $300, that's another $300 that's going to the next month's bill, and that doesn't work. If there is a root cause to the reason why the bill is high, we've identified many. Personal heaters, plug-in heaters, instead of running your HVAC to run a little portable heater. Those portable heaters use large amounts of electricity in a very small little package. And yeah, I don't know what the consumption is on electric blanket, but I see on my personal device that I watch. I know when my wife is home, and I know when she's running her heater to keep her feet warm. I know that because I've seen it.
We do have a lot of these energy efficient appliances. We have a lot of these smart appliances. Yes, they use electric. Our phone chargers, our phones, they estimate, I've looked at several different sources, they use about $2 a year in electric. They don't use hardly anything. So our phones aren't contributing a ton to that empire. And our smart energy smart appliances, even though they're always plugged in, they're supposed to change the way you use electric, or you use your energy. And so they estimate in several different places, somewhere between 30 to 40% savings. I am not seeing any of that.
If I see a problem with my electric bill, first thing I do is call. I want to know what's going on. But I want somebody to come and support this is what I have. Help me fix it. And we have that mechanism. We have that mechanism. We should pull that trigger and get somebody out. And again, I hope you understand, we're doing this to stand before you and answer those questions. OT and APSO, they don't give a flip about that. Cooperatives, they're different. They're built. That's why I support the organization.
Okay, you said that you had lower usage. I've been in my house, in this specific house, 4 years. In December, for the last 4 years, my usage has been 2,500, 2,700 on average. That's just the usage for December. This year, December's usage was 4,031. And I kept getting this whole thing of, we need to come out, we need to come out. I want to know why. How many of you had a usage spike? Like the kilowatt hours went up? Anybody? Because there's about 100 people out there on the watchdog group that are talking about their usage spike. That's a systemic problem, not a personal problem. Then secondly, you're making 300,000 a year? Congress doesn't even make that. Let's get it back into Oklahoma terms and not up where the president and Congress is running. I'm not saying that you shouldn't make money, but come on, let's get real. 300,000 is a bit much.
Thank you.
So I can speak to the.
All right.
The last thing I want to say before is if you have a complaint, call the Attorney General and make the file the complaint formally.
I will answer I think it's important to answer that for the membership. When Tim left and we have responsibility, can you hear me? When Tim left and the board had responsibility to go out and find a new CEO to lead our organization, we were looking for certain characteristics, somebody that had some electrical utility experience. And we actually used a third party that told us if we were going to hire somebody that was qualified to do the job, this is a $345 million organization. In order to hire somebody, you would need to pay between $400 or $376 and $450,000. And I said, God almighty, that is ridiculous. But that's the going rate for CEOs running organizations this size. I have a hard time with it too. I gotta be honest with you, I have a hard time with it too.
The CEO of State Farm does not make that much. Thank you.
Bob, I don't know the CEO for State Farm, but I know what CEOs in cooperatives
State Farm,
making.
like the national insurance company?
Yes.
Only makes less than $315,000 a year?
Yes.
And I'm going to answer the other question because people lean into that guy makes $300,000 a year. The actual cost of every employee in this organization has remained the same for the last 10 years. It contributes about 6.3 cents to the bill. And I think people get hung up on a dollar amount. We went out and we had people trying to get $550,000, $600,000 from us to run this utility. And we weren't going there. I know it feels bad, but it hasn't raised the cost significantly. In fact, it's saved about $175,000 a year from the last one.
So you need better HR then. Because that's not a good thing.
I mean, you can check every cooperative in the state.
But can we address how many people are getting usage spikes all of a sudden? Because there's hundreds of people
if you're having, if anybody is having an issue, they've got to call me in.
Well, I did, and I got the meter usage, I asked for raw data, I got a
Those
version
boxes.
of raw data, I did not get the actual raw data.
Okay, and we addressed that, I actually asked for that for somebody on the watchdog crew. Come in, you can sit right next to Tara, and she will show you her monitor. And she will show you everything you need to know. That, you told me that the other day, it comes in one form, it came out in the form of, it looks like a spreadsheet.
Right, it seems to be fine, yeah.
Okay, see, I got that shit. But anyway, that's the form that it comes in.
Yes, I understand that.
Okay.
But what I was given, the note was, this should suffice for your raw data information. They did not give me the raw data itself. It was to answer a question, and it answered that question with the information adjusted, that shows, maybe it adjusted as wrong. It shows how much you were charged, but it just has one in the column, and if there's anything that spikes or out of usual, there was nothing that was there. But I want to know, because I replaced all appliances 4 years ago, including the 2 years ago, the HVAC system. There's no reason, like, no reason whatsoever to have a spike almost double.
So, in especially December, a lot of people in December, Christmas Day, there's people in there in shorts. Following weekend, temperature drops. And so a lot of people don't understand, and I've seen this my entire career. I'm not saying I understand it, but I've seen it. When the temperature does this, people's bills go up.
Okay, I didn't know whether you saw it or not.
Units work harder.
I saw you lay it down.
You want to end this or you want me to end it? If we can never get through, I just go.
All I'm gonna tell you
To our data,
is that
we can export that in the CSV.
there's always 2 or 3.
It's just how it comes down, because it puts it in the same time, so it gives you, sitting on 2 years, it's gonna give you 2 years worth of history.
The CEO said already to these people over
2
here,
o'clock in the morning altogether.
we'll be glad to come out. It doesn't cost a dime.
And we can do
They'll
that.
find out the
instead of
problem,
coming
if
in
they can.
and sit down and just show you the
Yeah,
system.
but they still want to argue about it, you know?
And then when we export the data.
I don't know.
Well, we appreciate you coming and doing this. And I'm gonna get over to visit with you one of these
Do
days.
that. And I just,
They keep us busy.
I know.
So,
Hey, I'm not even on anybody's board.
You have a question?
I'm so dadgum busy that I can't.
I'm going to ask a dumb question. All of you have been answering all these technical things, and we thank you for it, but there are just a lot of things that I don't understand. My husband always told me you should ask me to get home. That's thanks to biblical times, wasn't it? Well, the graph that you had showed that the co-op did a great job over until you got on this side of the screen. And what happened? There was a spike in cost. Grow houses. I'm going to show my bias. I was an old senior high school principal, and I don't have any good things to say about marijuana grow farms. None. We should not be paying for grow farms. We should not be having to take their,
What she doesn't
you know,
know is that you've got to
their,
give them service.
pay for their infrastructure.
we're required to give everybody
That's right.
But we made a mistake. We should have been charging a little, we run along there with charging no CCA. As a board, we was trying to help the members out. We made a mistake. We should have been charging a little bit each month. And then we wouldn't have had to do that. But the COVID, you know, people was off of work and everything, and we thought we were doing good.
with
Not
road.
that
I'm sorry to be so
But then they all
adamant
just
about
kind
it,
of
but I
fell
have
all at
nothing
once.
to say about roadhouse. I know what marijuana does
But
to
you learn from
kids,
your mistakes.
and I don't like it.
Sure, and I'll address this. I know that they addressed the technical side of it, the number side of it, and really the main reason Harv and Mike and I, and we even speak because we don't work there. We're not there 8 hours a day for 30 plus years. But we are members, we are out in the field, so we're pretty good at dumbing it down for, for everybody. Here's what happened with the grows, okay? Here's the history of marijuana. When they opened that stuff up, y'all know it was the Wild West, okay? Anybody with a pulse and $45
But mostly Chinese.
could go get a license. Okay.
But
Now,
we're required to provide electricity.
yes,
So
we
they'll
are required, when somebody comes in and asks for electricity, we have to serve them. But what do we do? Everything that it's gonna cost the cooperative, our members,
They pay
for you to
for
get that service up and going, they had to pay it all 100% upfront. And a lot of times they came in asking for way when they thought they were gonna, build this and this and this, and you're gonna have 37, houses out there. We had to talk them back. They paid for 100% of their infrastructure up front. Now, remember the conversation on the peak? That's really where it hurt us, was they set that peak. They were just boom, 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 boom. I mean, just constant there for 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, that's the way we are.
I mean, it's just month after
Everything.
month after month. It was going.
Everything
So
is
that's
not
where
before we ever do anything.
that's where they hurt us. They set that peak. And that CCA slide, okay, here we go.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes. That was one of the reasons. That was just one. Going back to January of 25, our revenue, okay, we looked at we probably don't have that graph. We looked at a chart. Our overall revenue was down 13%. So that tells us the grow houses had something to do with that. 80+% is residential. 86% of our system is residential. Residential was down 13%. So yes, the grows hurt, the grows lent to that peak, but we went from 600 and something, we're down below 200, right at 200 right now. It's not gonna go away. It's not gonna disappear, but please don't think that the grow houses, they set that peak, okay? They didn't cost, we made them pay every penny up front, every penny up front. They set a peak, it's gone down. Did it hurt us last year? Yes, it did. It was right in the middle, but it was that 13% across the board revenue decline, which was weather. So we work to break even. I say we don't run, they run this co-op, we advise, but it is on a break even. It was a perfect storm of 2 or 3 things. Yes, the grows went down, weather was down, costs were up. We did this cost of service. This is one thing that didn't get mentioned. I just wanted to mention real quick. I know y'all are trying to wrap this deal up. We did a cost of service study back in 21. I've been on the board 10 years. I've sat through, I know one of them, maybe 2, and every time, back during COVID, you've heard us say this before if you've watched our videos from our other meetings, we kept saying, now is not a good time for our members. Now is not COVID, this is not a good time for our members to raise rates. The cost of service study told us every single time, you've got to raise your rates. You've got to raise your rates. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna tighten our belts a little bit. We're gonna go back to the drawing board. We're gonna figure out how to keep breaking even. How do we keep breaking even without raising rates? So, that was part of this over here of this last year is we ate all everything they told us to do during COVID. We said, no, we're not gonna raise rates. Everything post-COVID inflation, you saw all those percentage increases. we held tight, we tightened our belt. So another reason why we ran into where we are now. In hindsight, as a board member, I'll tell you right now, I wish this cost of service study before last, we would increase rates.
I understand that,
See, that cost of service, they kept telling us to go up 27.50 to 39.
talk to
But
your
we didn't do
representatives,
it.
your
See,
congressmen,
that
your
was another
senators,
mistake that we
about getting some legislation to make the row houses come on and step up, and instead of passing all of these costs off to struggling people. Wouldn't you guys like that?
I agree 100%. Yeah.
All right. All right. Got one more. Got another question right here.
Row house?
No.
What I have to say is, I did make a phone call to your office. First, my husband, nothing was done. I made a phone call to your office. Stirred up a steam. And I went out, checked my meter, everything checked out kosher. And then I come here, no one would give me an answer. No one would give me an answer. And then I come to this meeting because that's what I was told to do. If you want answers, go to the meeting. And now y'all want to put another meter on our meter to check out stuff. Why didn't you do that before I had to come to this meeting?
No, I agree. You should have been.
Y'all failed on your job.
You should have been offered an energy.
Yes, I should have, and I was not.
We apologize.
So y'all are not doing everything you can for a member. Oh, I have one more thing to say. I feel sorry for you. You stepped into a shit pot. It's not all your fault, sir. And I recognize that.
I'm doing what I can to get us out of it.
And I appreciate that. And you stepped into a pile of shit. And I appreciate what you are trying to do. But I don't appreciate the high bills.
And we did know that, that's the case. You did reach out to us.
That's what makes me mad, is you tell all these people to call in, call in. Call in, call in. But you don't get them the answer.
We will make sure, I will make sure back in the office, every member calls in.
And then you wonder why we get aggravated.
You have the right to.
Yes, I do.
Absolutely. Understand.
I will be too.
But thank you for coming tonight. Because we're
And I'll be
trying,
at the rest of the meeting too.
we're
I
trying.
hope I have answers by then.
And please, call in, ask for Tamara, right here. So we can try
I have
to.
spoke to her.
Tamara?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, when Lila, or whatever her name
Oh,
was.
Lila? Yeah, you spoke with
Yeah,
Lila.
and I spoke with you.
Yes.
She come and got me one time.
Yes. Yeah,
And
I
still
remember your
nothing has been
situation.
done.
That we'll follow up on it.
Yeah, after I come to the meeting, you'll follow up.
But
But I did everything I was told to do.
Yes.
I did everything. And y'all failed your job. I'm done.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll do better. Okay, I'm gonna keep it short here. First, appreciate everybody coming tonight and appreciate those questions that everybody asked. They were good questions, and I hope that we can learn from the questions and hope that you have learned something from the meeting tonight. I'd like to say thank you to all the presenters tonight. And I know they went over a lot of information. They have prepared a handout for you. We'd like for you to take that and look at it and absorb it a little. I know we went over a lot of stuff. I couldn't absorb all of it. So look at it, and if you have a question, call them, and they can answer. If not, we'll find out